right, our next recipient, you surely know that Stevens is widely recognized as the Innovation University, and it is also a hotspot for entrepreneurship. Students are using the knowledge they're learning in Stevens classrooms to start companies in a number of emerging fields. These new companies are then designing and manufacturing valuable products and services. They are solving consumer problems, turning job seekers into employees, and making an impact on the local, national, and global economy. The honoree of this year's Charles V. Schaefer Jr. Entrepreneur Award, Frank Fawzi, class of 1984, embodies the entrepreneurial Stevens spirit. His first company, Comtech, became a leader in communication software and was honored by the New Jersey Technology Council. Frank is now the CEO of Intellipeer, a cloud communications company in California that in the Inc. 5000 recently was praised as being on the rise. Frank is a born leader and builder who relishes solving problems. As an entrepreneur, he has a naturally good sense of timing. His impressive ability to spot trends has guided him through the booms and busts of the business cycle. He's always known just when to enter and then when to pivot. Frank comes from an entrepreneurial family. His father owned a pharmaceutical distribution company, and even in high school, Frank would help manage the company while his father was traveling on business. So from an early age, Frank was self-motivated, focused, and goal-oriented, and he purposefully looked for a college that would challenge him. He found what he wanted in Stevens. And now, as a CEO and entrepreneur, Frank Fawzi is an inspiration to current and future generations of students, and we are proud to bestow on him the Charles V. Schaefer Jr. Entrepreneur Award.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Chris, Narman, Joe, thank you. To the trustees of Stevens Technology, to the honored guests here tonight. First, let me start by saying I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm humbled, actually, with the class of awardees that I'm part of here. I'm stunned, actually. Thank you. Really appreciate it. I've always done what I thought I was doing to advance innovation, to do well by my investors and do well by my employees, and to serve my customers. And if I deserve an award for that, I appreciate it, and thank you for that. I want to thank my father, as you mentioned. He's 91 years old. He's here tonight from Boston. His persistence, his determination is what taught me how to start, thrive, and succeed in the business. I also want to thank many of my friends here tonight and everyone else here that's been sitting through all these speeches. Hopefully we are learning something out of this. So with that, I want to pose a question, and the question I've been thinking a lot about, especially as you hear about the value of college and college education and the price of college, is how do you value college education? And the way you can value it, as I did when I was in college, as I was an undergraduate, is can I get a job? And that's one good way to do it. Another way is, as Naraman has done an incredible job with, and the board trustees and the body of this great institution, which is what's the ROI? What's the return on your investment? And then finally, and I'd like to add one more, which is very immeasurable. It's very difficult to measure this, but it's the quality of creating students, graduates that are creative, with a practical sense and determined. And I think that all these things are really important, and all these things are the embodiment of what the Stevens education and the 4 years I spent here, graduating with initially with my bachelor degree, and then ultimately, or eventually with a master's later on in '87, have allowed me to learn. So just quickly, my story, and I'll try to finish it here. So I really wanted to go to Stevens. I was determined to go to Stevens when I was in high school. I applied and worked hard and made sure that I got here. And when I graduated, after 4 years of being here, 4 wonderful years of being here, and meeting a lot of really great people, my first job getting out of Stevens was working for a company that was created by a Stevens graduate from 1908. a company called Merrick Corporation. As I'm sitting here tonight, one of my first mentors, who was also a Stevens graduate, a gentleman by the name of Eugene Benke, who is actually, you all heard his daughter, Jennifer Benke, which with her wonderful rendition earlier tonight, was one of my first mentors. Got out of there and continued my career, started my first company. I had the pleasure of working with Stevens graduates, actually, and one of them is here tonight. And ultimately, when I sold my first business, not knowing that initially, but actually I sold it to a gentleman who, the CEO of a company who happened to be a Stevens graduate as well. So what can I tell you? So I think the story here is this is an institution. While it's small, it's a family. It has incredible legacy. It's enriched me incredibly, and I will never forget my 4 years here. And I certainly will always remember the pleasure of learning, excelling, and performing here in the 4 years I was here. And then beyond that, to associate myself with this great institution and with its alumni and graduates. So back to the question I was posing earlier. Yes, jobs. My first job was an earlier Stevens alumni from 1908. I guess that you would call that the very old guard. The second one, yes, ROI. I think my tuition was about $4,200. I don't know if you can check the books that far back, but if you do, certainly I had my return on investment, and I appreciate that. And certainly. The last one, which is the entrepreneurial spirit, which you can't really measure, you can't account for. I am so impressed with the caliber of individuals I've met in my life that are Stevens graduates. Never have I in my life met somebody who says that he's a Stevens graduate that I was not impressed with. So yes, we've all learned a lot and we've gained a lot out of this institution. And lastly, I want to remind some of my friends here from the class of '84 that I had the pleasure of talking to earlier. If you remember Professor Yevik, okay, all right, okay, thank you. All right, so let's go here. So freshman year, physics class, we're sitting there in that dark lecture hall. We're all sitting there, we just got out of high schools, we're trying to figure out what is this all about, and this really, I don't know how to describe it, other than incredibly intelligent, incredibly energetic, incredibly big idea guy. I learned to think with big ideas, but I also learned at the same time how to solve practical physics problem every day. And you know what? When he did a problem and we had a lot of empty stares in the room and nobody asked questions, he goes, well, let me do it again. It's one more time with more feeling. So with that I say, thank you, Stevens. Thank you, Nariman. Thank you, Joe. Thank you to the board trustees that you've done a great job. And all I ask you to do is keep doing what you're doing and double down. I love this place. Thank you.